Welcome back. I'm with Daryl Claridge. He is a certified financial planner. And Daryl, welcome to today's show.
Thank you.
So, certified financial planner, for the layperson, what exactly does that mean? Or what's your role that you play?
So as a certified financial planner, you're basically involved helping clients to map out their financial picture. It takes multiple disciplines into consideration. So you are looking at not only investment management and asset allocation, but you're looking at cash flow management, you're looking at tax planning, estate planning, retirement planning, insurance planning. So there's a lot of disciplines that you bring to the table to really be able to talk to a client about their overall financial situation. We're bringing in and working with their CPAs, we're working with their attorneys, their insurance professionals, and kind of making sure that everybody's on the same page so that we're truly providing the best advice possible for the client.
How much money or assets should a person have before they seek a certified financial planner?
Zero. They should, as soon as they get out of school and they start working, they need to get some help because we're not educating people in school well enough about financial planning and how much people really need to save. That's the biggest thing that I don't think people understand. So when you get into retirement, the vast bulk of the assets that you're going to live off of is money that you've saved or earned. It's not necessarily returns on your investment. You know, the returns on your investment might be 30, maybe if you're really lucky, 40% of the money that you've saved. But it's really critical that you start saving as early as possible. That's the most important thing.
And how long have you been a certified financial planner?
Let's see, it must have been 2001, and what are we, 2013, so 12 years. I've been in the financial services business since I got out of college in 1991.
So when people come to you, so basically that's 22 years in, 91 too.
Yeah.
Okay. So when people come to you, what's the most common question that they have?
So the clients that I work with, they are frankly unique in the sense that they are typically extremely wealthy, much more wealthy than the average person. So they're not so worried about the things that normal people are worried about, such as, do I have enough money just to retire? Do I have enough money to last me for the rest of my life? My clients, frankly, they have more than enough to be okay for the rest of their lives. So for them, the biggest question, I think, is control of their assets, making sure that they aren't exposed to some sort of unforeseen liability, and then also making sure that they do the best that they can when providing for the next generation, not to screw up the kids, if you will, because all of a sudden they inherit all this money. They want to make sure that it's done in such a way that the kids still have the work ethic that the parents had, that they're not just going out and buying a Lamborghini because they inherited $1 million. So that I would say is my client's biggest issue, is making sure that the control of the assets goes the way that they want to, and then ultimately to pay the least amount of taxes as possible. That's a huge issue for my clients.
How do you differentiate yourself from other certified financial planners?
It's just the technical aspect of being a CFP, a certified financial planner. Frankly, that's the easy stuff. I mean, that's all, software and running numbers and all. So the technical side is easy. To me, the real issue and what makes somebody successful in this business, and in particular what I do, I think it's being subtle, and I think it's being sensitive. So sensitive to, we get into some very intimate conversations. We're talking about very personal things here. You learn more about the family and such than you probably ever wanted to know. So you need to be sensitive in picking up what each person is saying to you. And you need to be subtle in the sense of how do you communicate to them in a way that will get them to take action. Because ultimately, if I can't get my clients to take action on the plan that we put together for them, I haven't done them any service. So that's really the biggest thing, is getting them to take action.
That must be a big challenge in trying to get things implemented. And
Yeah, it can be, but for me, the way that I go about it is that my philosophy is my job is to help my clients make smart decisions.
Yeah.
Period. I'm not here to make decisions for them. Most of them are retired business owners. They're used to making decisions. They've dealt with a lot of pressure and so forth. So if I can provide them information in a way that they need it, so that they can use it, then they generally can act upon it.
I'm visiting here today with Daryl Claridge. He's a certified financial planner. Been in the business for 22 years. And Daryl, I need to take a quick break and be right back after these messages. And then I'd like to talk more about today's markets and what we should be looking forward to in the future.
I love fishing, with my family.
I think it would be easier to use a net.
It was so much fun.
The times when we are together, it makes it all the more worth it.
Having Dad teach them how to cast a fly rod, and
As long as we're doing stuff together, we're having fun.
Some people see a father and a son fishing together, while others see a succession plan.
Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with Daryl Claridge. He's a certified financial planner. And Daryl, I understand your educational background. Something unique about you is that you went to school in Paris.
Yeah.
The American University. What brought you over there?
If I'm being honest, it's the girls.
Okay.
If being honest, I was 20 years old and interested in meeting some French girls. So I went to school there. So I was there for almost 3 years. I graduated from there, and it was an awesome experience. I highly, highly recommend it to anybody considering going to school abroad. Spend more than just a semester. Spend at least a year. If you could spend more, it's such a great experience.
And you're now fluent in French?
Somewhat. You don't use it, you lose it. So, and I don't have many French friends around to practice. But when I left, I was fluent, and now I'm pretty conversational.
So what do you like best about living in Paris?
That's a good question. One thing I'll tell you, the food was great, but I never walked out of a restaurant full. That drove me crazy. I would always, the plates, the portions were so small for an American kid, But just the people, I think that we have a real misunderstanding of French people here. The French love Americans. The whole esprit of freedom and liberty and all. We get that from the French, from French philosophy, and I think that the French really appreciate what we've done for them in the past. As frankly, we should appreciate what they've done for us with our American Revolution. We would still be a British colony without the French.
Anything you can tell us about the people or about Paris that the average person here would not know?
Well, one thing I would say is that when you're there as a tourist, you're typically dealing with French people at work. French people at work are horrible. They can't be fired. So their work ethic is just not good. They have no idea of service and that sort of thing. So when you're dealing with that rude waiter or that rude counter person at the supermarket, whatever, just know that same person outside of work most likely is a wonderful human being, and that you would love to hang out with them, and they would be very welcoming and so forth. It's just when they're at work, they're not particularly nice. And they're not nice to everybody. It's not, particularly that they're picking on Americans. They're that way to the French people as well. So, yeah.
So how does having a degree in international affairs help you as a certified financial planner?
Actually, that's a good question. And I would say where it's helped me most is my ability to write. With that degree, I had to write a tremendous amount, and my writing skills got pretty good. So that, in my job currently, I write a lot of reports and analysis for clients, and it's important to be able to communicate in a written form so that they've got something tangible. And I would say that was probably the biggest thing that it did for me. As far as the study of finance and all of that, to be frank, you learn that on the job. Anyone that's going to hire you knows that they're going to have to train you for whatever it is you're going to do.
We're in a global society now, right? Interdependent with all the countries and the markets, and does having that international degree help?
I don't think so. Not as far as that. Maybe in some degrees it might, but no, I can't say that there's specific anything that helps.
Fair enough. I'm visiting here today with Daryl Claridge. He's a certified financial planner, and we've been visiting about the industry. We're going to come back and the next segment. I'd like to talk about world markets today, and about the roller coaster ride that we've been experiencing, and what we're looking forward to the future.
With current laws, we have left our children an enormous financial burden. Even though they may be too young to understand it. At GROCO, we care about you and the ones you love, and the quality of your and their lives. Call us today to see how we can help. 877-CPA-2006.
Helping you along the way.
Welcome back. I'm here today with Daryl Claridge. He's a certified financial planner. And we have been talking about living in Paris, what it was like. I came back from Paris a couple weeks ago, and interestingly enough, I found that euro, every time I go back, that euro gets more and more expensive. So when we look at the outlook internationally, you're looking in your crystal ball. What do you see out there?
So first, talk a little about where we've been. This year has been a really tough year, in particular for emerging market economies that are mainly based on commodity-driven exports. So we've had a little bit of slowdown in growth in China, a little bit less importation of commodities. All the rest of the emerging markets have really suffered. So if you look at the performance of the emerging market stock markets versus the United States stock markets, the divergence right now is huge. So at some point, I got to think that we're going to have reversion to the mean, meaning that you're going to have some outperformance of emerging markets to get back to more of a inline performance with the domestic markets. When that happens, I don't know. I really don't know. As far as long-term growth, though, no doubt about it, emerging markets have much better growth patterns than the rest of the world. Europe obviously has had a lot of problems. It continues to struggle through the issues that they've been having with the integration, and they've got demographics that are going against them. And one other thing that I think is unique to United States, where we have a huge advantage over Europe especially, and frankly the rest of the world, is that we are such a great society about being a melting pot. Bringing somebody in, and for example, you have an Algerian that moves to the United States, becomes a citizen, we open our arms, welcome brother, you're an American, go make some money. That same Algerian could have been living in France for 3 generations, and as far as the French are concerned, he's an Algerian, never be French. And to me, that's one of the big differentiating facts about America is that we have always been, a meritocracy. We love for people to come in and add to the culture, and you don't have that in older cultures like Europe and Japan and such. So I think that they're going to have a much more difficult time in the future than we will, if nothing else, because of demographics and the lack of importing labor.
We talk about demographics, and in the U.S. we often hear the effect that the baby boomer generation has on society. Mm-hmm. With the first of those baby boomers starting now to be 65 years old, and we're moving on into the future. Some predictions are 80% of the workforce retiring within the next 15 years. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that demographic shift?
It's funny you mentioned this. I heard this the other day, and I thought, wow, this is going to be great for my career. So I'm a few years younger than the baby boomers, so I figure as they're all retiring, there's going to be a vacuum of financial advisors in my space here, and so I actually think it'll be good for my personal career. Longer term, though, I think it goes back to immigration. You know, the fact that whatever we're losing to retirement, we'll be able to replace it through immigration, at least a good portion of it. So.
You know, one of the things that often it gets overlooked is that of logistical supply chains. When you think about the infrastructure that we built on the trucking and the transportation industry, and yesterday Amazon came out with the press release on these little drones.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you know, I thought, well, what a bizarre idea. But then again, you think about if one was to play into logistical supply chains, you know, there could be a need into the future for that.
And also, I think you take it the step what Google's working on with the driverless car. At some point, that'll be the driverless semi-truck. And you'll probably won't have as many truck drivers on the road because they'll be replaced by these, you know, self-driving trucks. So education is going to be really, really important for this next generation. I can't stress that enough. And that's the thing that I think probably is the biggest issue facing our country today, is that we're not necessarily educating enough people in the right subjects for the economy of the future.
So if they aren't already doing it, what should the listeners be working on today, or you know, for helping to build a stronger plan, financial plan?
For themselves, the answer would be make sure to maximize the amount that you put into your 401k first and foremost, or your IRAs. That is a no-brainer. If you're not saving as much as you possibly can into those vehicles, you're right there behind the 8 ball. My facetious answer to people when they ask how much money do I need for retirement is more. Whatever you have, it's not enough. So you need to be diligent about saving, and it should be a systematic savings plan where you pay yourself first at the beginning of every month. So I always tell people starting out, you start with a certain dollar amount. If it's $50 or $500 or $5,000, whatever it is you make every month, get that into a savings plan. Typically some sort of balanced type mutual fund where you've got some exposure to growth-oriented investments, and do that every month. And what will end up happening is at the end of the month, you'll still have no money left over, but at least you will have saved some money ahead of time. So, that's one of the things that I always recommend to people is save as much as you possibly can now, because the longer you wait, the more expensive it gets.
So are there any parting words of wisdom that you have then for the listeners, or, you know, just curious, what's your average size client? So what type of client would you want to entertain helping with the plan?
Again, my clients are probably a little bit financially larger than the average person out there. My client on average, because we're a private bank again, my client on average probably has at least $5 to $10 million liquid assets with us, net worth minimum of $10 million or more. So they have, again, a different set of problems than most, the average person. You know, you know, most of my clients were business owners at one point. They sold a business, they walked away with $17 million, and are like, okay, now what do I do? You know, they knew their business of developing widgets, but they don't know anything about managing assets. So that's where I come in to help them figure out how best to put together a plan. And then the other thing I encourage them is travel early and often, because once they hit a certain age, they're not going to have the same interest in traveling. So get it out of your system as young as you can.
Great advice. I'm visiting here today with Daryl Claridge. He's a certified financial planner. Daryl, thanks for being on today's show.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back after these messages.